All right, great. So, welcome to another great Lunch and Learn. I'm Alexa Francis House, and today we're truly excited to have Celina Saucedo of Broward County's Aviation Department here to speak with us today about to tell us all about aviation, who they are, what they do. Celina is the Chief Administrative Officer for BCAD. In that role, she leads 85 employees and manages an operating budget exceeding $5 million. Her team's core mission is to serve the internal and external customers. Celina was born in Buenos Aires, Argentina, and immigrated to the United States in 1985. She was raised in South Florida and calls the United States home. She has actually worked for various agencies within Broward County, including the library, fire rescue services, emergency management, public works, and she joined BCAD in 2010 and is proud to be part of a dynamic and innovative county organization leading one of the fastest growing airports in the United States. Celina has a bachelor's degree in international relations and a master's degree in public administration, both that she received from Florida International University. And Celina is a certified member of the American Association of Airport Executives. So Celina's here with us on our screen. If you want to go ahead and wave, Celina, to
Good
everyone.
afternoon. Hi,
Um,
everybody.
and without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to her. Welcome, Celina. And before I do that, as always, just want to remind you guys, if you have any questions as Celina is presenting, feel free to go ahead and type them in the chat. We will go ahead and review those towards the end. Thank you, guys. Welcome, Celina.
Thank you, Alexa. I thank you for having the interest in our aviation department. We're going to talk a little bit about our other airport. Everybody knows about FLL, but we actually manage two airports in the aviation department, FLL and North Prairie Airport. And without further ado, I am going to share my screen so you can see our presentation. And we're going to get it started from the beginning. And there we go. So the state of FLL and also our other airport.
And Celina, before you start, if you want to go ahead and swap it to the other screen.
Thank you. Display settings. We're going to swap. There we go. Okay, so here's our agenda. We're going to talk about FLL, as I said, which is a major large hub airport. Is in the top 30 airports in the United States of America based on its number of passengers. We're going to talk about the guest experience. And why is that important? Because in our view, and this is what I always remind our team, these are the folks who pay our salaries. This is the reason that we exist. For travelers who get on a plane to go somewhere exciting from our community in FLL, or for those travelers who come into our community and spend money on hotels, restaurants, etc., the guest experience is the bread and butter of what we do. We'll talk a little bit about our master plan for FLL. And of course, I also wanted to discuss North Perry Airport, which is a general aviation airport that is main function is to be a reliever. Those are the planes which are not commercial. And so therefore, we want them to be able to relieve air traffic from FLL so that we can save that for commercial operations. So, and I'd like to I have to say right off the bat that it's a bit unusual for me to have to talk to a computer, but we're going to do the best that we can to talk virtually. I talk with my hands a lot, but you cannot see my hands. So I'm going to try to do the best that I can to keep it exciting and also informative to let you know about a very, very dynamic department in Broward County Aviation Department, also known as BCAD. So this photo, it's actually a very, very good one because it shows you the mix of the airlines that we have. We have a little bit of international, a little bit of domestic. What is the true nature of our airport? We call our airport, which is considered by the FAA, the Federal Aviation Administration, as a large hub airport. And that's based on the number of passengers, right? Number of enplanements in our airport. We're considered a large hub in the United States. The state of Florida happens to have the distinction. It is the only state in our country, in the United States of America, which has 4 large hub airports. The first one, in terms of ranking, being MCO, Orlando. The second one being MIA, our neighbor to the south. The third one is FLL, and the fourth one is Tampa. Those are the four large hub airports in our state of Florida. Why do we like this photo? Because it shows you a nice mix of airlines. It's a lot of options for our travelers. We're also known as being an origin and destination airport. And what does that mean? In aviation lingo, it means that you begin and end your trip at our airport. Unlike MIA, we're not a hub airport, so nobody is connecting through FLL. We actually have, out of our total percentage of traffic, 80% is origin and destination. Only 20% is connecting. So that's a big distinction. Again, MIA, where nearly 80% of their traffic is connecting because they are considered a main hub for American Airlines. So what do we look like? We have 4 terminals, 7 concourses, 66 gates, and soon to have 5 more when we finish Terminal 5, and I'm going to be discussing that in a little bit when we talk about our terminal modernizations. We have 3 parking garages, 23 airlines currently. On our second bullet, that's actually very distinctive because 80% of our passengers travel on the top 5 airlines. And if you look at those airlines listed there, you have Spirit, you have JetBlue, you have Southwest, Delta, and United. The first 3 are what we consider in the aviation industry as low-cost airlines. Very different from a legacy airline, which would be a Delta or a United. That distinction keeps our airfares down, and that's why folks want to travel from our airport. The post-pandemic world, let's talk a little bit. Actually, let me go back to the pre-pandemic world. Before the pandemic, which changed all our lives, right? We had nearly 16,000, a little bit over 16,000 batched employees. And what does that mean? So beyond BCAD, we have 633 full-time positions at BCAD. But beyond BCAD, we call our airport a community. It's called the FLL Airport Community because it's almost functioning on a daily basis like a small city. We don't have a mayor, however, we have an airport director, but we have a lot of stakeholders. We have federal law enforcement agencies, local law enforcement agencies, we have the airlines, we have businesses as our concessions, etc. So it really is like a small city. So on a 24/7 basis, 365 days a year, there are nearly 16,000 people working at the airport, which is pretty impressive. Back in 2019, the state of Florida did an economic impact study. We're waiting for the next one to come along soon. At that time, the state of Florida told us that we were responsible for direct, indirect, and induced total employment in over 250,000 jobs. The airport has an economic impact of $37.5 billion with a B. And that also goes to the heart of who we are and what we do, because when we refer to the airport, we refer to it as an economic engine in Broward County, a creator of jobs, a driver of jobs, a place where the economy of Broward County is moving. The closest agency to us, I would say, is Port Everglades in terms of being an enterprise, and the nature of the enterprise agencies, as you might have heard, is that we do not derive our funds from the general fund. We create our own funds, or rather we make our own funds and pay for our own expenditures. I love this photo. So this is what the world looked like pre-pandemic. JetBlue was our #1 airline in terms of traffic and operations, followed by Spirit and Southwest. I love this photo of the airfield. If you can see in the back there, the salmon color building is our air traffic control tower, the heart and soul of what happens on the airfield. It's actually just like any other facility that is under the jurisdiction of the federal government. This one is also under the jurisdiction of the FAA, and so we provide the site, if you will, but they control everything that happens in that building, and especially, of course, everything that happens on the airfield. So this is post-pandemic, and oh my God, what a difference it makes, right? When you look at the world after the pandemic. All of a sudden, Spirit Airlines is our top airline with 29% of the market share, followed by JetBlue and Southwest. And some of you may have heard what is happening right now. And by the way, if you have any questions, I'll be happy to take them at the end. But if you really have a burning desire to have your question answered right now, I'll be happy to do that as well. So our market share is important to us when we look at the pie, because the airlines have a very, very, very important role in how that economy is driving the airport and what are the actions of the airport and the activities here. So when you have this type of mix, we like it because in the sense of that there's no airline that has more than 50% of the pie. And why is that important? Because there really is no airline who can dictate to the airport what needs to happen, right? An example of that would be at MIA, say the neighbor to the south, American Airlines controls 50% of the air traffic. And so in that regard, we don't want to be in that position. We want to be in a position where if one airline leaves, then another one is able to move in, and we continue to, if you will, drive our airport and with no impact to our revenue, okay? So we are super, super happy. This is actually, if you will, a very, very important time for us because we're almost at the peak of our traffic. In 2019, we welcomed 36 million passengers. So we're almost at 35 million at the end of 2023. We're super, super happy about that. We want to make sure that when you look at FLL, and many people look at FLL in terms of, well, saying, okay, it's a very small airport. It's not. We really are looked at as a major airport in the United States. We have a major international traffic. And the third bullet point, the international passenger traffic, when you look at all the airports, those are all the airports combined that FLL has more traffic. So to me, that's a major, wonderful statistic to have. Excuse me, I'm gonna get some water and okay, so aircraft operations. Who would have thought that we had 285,000 aircraft operations at FLL? Not too many, right? That is what happened in calendar year 2022. We have our other airport, North Perry Airport, which had 263,000, and I'll be discussing that in a little bit. Top 20 markets. So as you can see, our domestic market on the emphasis is on the Northeast. Look, you can look at New York, Philadelphia, Chicago. So most of our passengers are looking to the Northeast. All of you, I'm sure, know and see all the license plates from Canada in Broward County. So no surprises there. Our top market is Canada. We have a lot of traffic to the Caribbean. Unfortunately, we are not too happy that we lost European service, but we want to make sure that you know that we're looking into ways of resuming that and bringing that back. It's something that we definitely are working on really hard. But we have a lot of South American traffic. I'm sure you know that in Broward County, there's a very, very large Brazilian community in Pompano. That is shown on the Azul, which is a low-cost airline that flies from FLL to Brazil, and they're constantly looking to add more routes, and so we're always looking for ways to be able to increase that international market. Our service development folks are always, always, always working hard in making sure that we look at new areas for new service. I don't know if any of you heard of Avelo. It is a brand new American airline that is flying to different places in the US. We were very, very lucky to get them. As I mentioned, Azul is based in Brazil, and they are also looking to increase their service here at FLL. A very interesting tidbit of, if you will, a trivia. Azul was founded by the founder of JetBlue, David Neilman. So David's team actually reached out to our team here in Air Service Development and said, you know, we have a brand new airline. We want to come to FLL. What do you think? They started with one flight, and now we have different cities. And we added, as you can see, Recife and Belo Horizonte back in the summer of 2023. Spirit continues to add service, and we're glad about that. Certainly because, as you know, with what's going on with our hometown airline, we want to make sure that we continue to support the efforts. We went back to Washington with American. Towards the last bullet on the list, I'm sure you've heard that JetBlue, well, our county commission has always clamored for service to Tallahassee. We are so happy to see that JetBlue started service to Tallahassee in January of 2024. We're hoping that continues for a long time, because what we hear from our legislative delegation is that this is something that they very much want to see. They had to connect through Atlanta with Delta, or go to our neighbor to the south and fly from Miami to Tallahassee. So certainly we want to make sure that that service continues. So we're happy to see that. Excuse me, I jumped one. So Bermuda Air is, there are 3 new airlines that we were super ecstatic to get. And I know that the Air Service Development team worked really hard. I'll start off with Bermuda Air. Bermuda Air is actually an airline that started doing something unusual in the aircraft, which is to have more room. Although they're a low-cost airline, they want to be able to offer room as if you were in a business class section of a regular aircraft, which is actually quite distinctive. And so we're hoping that they remain here for a long time. We've seen some really good numbers in terms of their passengers, so we're looking forward to seeing them here for a while. At the bottom there, Porter Airlines is a new low-cost airline to FLL that flies to our top international destination in Canada. Their numbers are doing really, really well. They started at the end of November of last year, and they're doing well. And last but not least, I saved the best for last, El Al, which, as you know, is a national Israeli airline, started holiday seasonal service from FLL back in the fall of 2023. They are intending, and they have signaled to BCAD that they intend to continue on their quest to have regular service from FLL. We are finalizing all the agreements, and we're hoping to be able to confirm that mid-April of 2024, we're going to have regular service to Israel. That is major for FLL. And why is that? Because it provides connectivity to the Middle East. People can travel to Israel and then connect to Europe also. And so having El Al, it was really a major coup. So we really want them, we understand the complexity of what is happening right now in the Middle East, especially in Israel. But as I said, we're glad to hear that the airline has signaled to us that they intend to start the regular service in April of this year. So that's coming up very soon. We love to look at our rankings. And why is that? Well, there's a little bit of friendly competition there, I guess. The total number of passengers, and by the way, there's friendly competition with all airports, and I think that must be true also if you work in any arena in which that is the bread and butter, if you will, the key is the competition and how well are you doing. Being on these rankings is important. So our calendar year 2022 top 25 U.S. airport comparison. You can see the total passengers were at number 17. So we're in the top 25 for domestic with top 20. And then for international passengers, we're at number 11. What happened to us was that as the pandemic subsided, or if you will, the traveling public started getting vaccinated and started traveling again, FLL became one of the fastest recovering airports in the USA. It's so fast that we had a very, very challenging time being able to find employees to be able to staff our concessions, our parking, our everything, our rental car center, everything that makes the airport move and supports the airport. Airlines had a very tough time getting staff to do their, what we call below the wing, the baggage claim areas, etc. So, but despite that, people wanted, first of all, they wanted to go somewhere, and they definitely wanted to come to Florida, and certainly to South Florida. So when other airports were struggling to be able to get back on track, and this is about, I'd say 2021, when the vaccinations became readily available, in 2022, then that's when, really things started picking up, and we were lucky to be able to be in a position to have a location that was sought after by the traveling public, and for them to be willing to come to visit us, right? Okay, so my team's core mission is to serve, as Alexa mentioned, to serve the internal and external customers, or guests, as we call them. So how do we do that? We're constantly looking for ways to make our guest experience better, to elevate it. On the left-hand side of the screen, you have a photo of the facade of the rental car center. That is our logo. That's part of our branding, if you will. We have our FLL and the Broward County logo next to it. And that is what we're trying to make sure that it's in all of our publications. Everything that we do that tells our story has the FLL and Broward County logo combined. The other two photos are part of our federal inspection facility. When you travel internationally and you come back into the USA at FLL, this is where you get the first impression. Maybe it's your first time visiting the USA, and we want to make sure that the experience that you have is excellent, is something that it's everlasting in a good way. So what does our airport director say? We're only better if we truly are better. So let's be better in everything that we do. Back in the early, I'd say, back in 2010, when I just joined the aviation department, we had just finished breaking ground. There were plans actually to break ground on the south runway, and then there was a major impetus to modernize our terminals. And why is that? Because our terminals were built back in the, as you can see, 1980s, early 2000s. So we went painstakingly with the design team to go through each terminal and figure out what needed to be modernized. Why is this challenging? Because we're actually constructing on a functioning building. We're actually adding to the building or doing things when you have airplanes outside and you have people inside the buildings. So we decided that that was the best way to go, and that is exactly what we did. Was it easy? No, but it was certainly worth the end result. Terminal 1, we added a concourse, which added 5 gates. That's the concourse A in Terminal 1. We completely raised the ceiling and modernized Terminal 2. Also expanded a Delta Sky Club, and I'll show you pictures in a little bit. Terminal 3 also raised ceilings, installed new bathrooms, all kinds of things to make it look much more appealing to our guests. And finally, Terminal 4 received a brand new Concourse. We actually constructed the Concourse, built a new one, and then while operating on half of the other one that sold, and then it was eventually torn down. Terminal 4 also, as well as Terminal 1, has two brand new, if you will, Federal Inspection Services facilities, the FIS facility that I was mentioning before, which functions as the, hello, you're in the USA, we're going to process you now, and welcome to the USA or welcome home. A big aspect of what we do is concessions. And why is that important? So besides the, if you will, the airplanes full of people, we need to be able to have businesses and offerings for our guests. And that also became part of a major emphasis on bringing new concession options to the airport. Gone were the old concessions, in with the new. We have, as of last accounting, nearly 100 concessions at the airport. Everything from restaurants to duty-free shops to certainly all kinds of different shops to do whatever it is that you want to do. If you want to sit down and have a nice meal, or if you want to just grab and go, that is what we're trying to offer. And more than anything, the concessions revenue and the parking revenue, as well as the rental car center revenue, are the three major sources of non-airline revenue at the airport. Why is that important? Because the more non-airline revenue that we have, the less that the airlines have to pay us in rates and charges, which makes us very appealing to them. So enhancing the guest experience, and by default having the guests, if you will, spend more money at the airport, then helps us on the other hand. So as you can see in the slides, we have Margaritaville. At the bottom, we have in Terminal 3 a brand new, our newest restaurant, Bonefish Grill. We are proud to say that it is the only Bonefish Grill at an airport in the USA. We have a brand new sushi place in Terminal 2. Terminal 3 has a Topo Chico bar. Apparently, it's all the rage. I haven't tried one yet. Maybe some of you have. I know I've seen it at my Publix, but Topo Chico seems to be the fastest growing drink sold in the USA. Well, we have a bar, a Topo Chico bar at FLL. We have Terminal 4 also with duty free. Terminal 4 is where most of our international passengers percentage is located, with Spirit and JetBlue. And in Terminal 4, we also have a local flavor. There was a very big emphasis on making sure that, as well as having national chained restaurants, we had if you come to South Florida and you want to have a Cuban meal, then you can go into a Casavana, right? And have a local flavor. So we have that. We have Sergio's in Terminal 1. We have another empanadas place in Terminal 2. So we also have Café Calique, which is a Jamaican restaurant. So we have a nice mix of local flavors that are representative of our demographics in Broward County.
Celina, we have a comment from our director. He said people in Maryland requested him to ask about having additional food concessions in Terminal 1. So he's passing that
additional
to you.
Okay, well, thank you. Thank you. And so Concourse A, so let's start with Concourse A. That is the brand new Concourse that we added as part of Terminal 1, as I had mentioned before. It has an ellipse that is truly beautiful, especially if you come to the airport at night. It's part of also, that's part of that one, Concourse A ellipse, and at the right hand bottom, the beautiful public art, the suspended artwork, that's what's inside the ellipse. We have I'm very proud that the fact that we have the largest share of public arts collection of all of Broward County is at the airport at FLL. We have over 60 plus artworks, and that is a source of pride for all of us. We have a dedicated public art project manager who is extremely knowledgeable about her job, and it's always looking for new and different ways to showcase art at the airport. On the left-hand side at the bottom, this is our newest lounge offering. So usually airlines will have a lounge, like, so for example, Delta has a lounge in Terminal 2, which they just expanded because it was not large enough for their demand. In Terminal 1, we have a lounge for United Airlines, but the common use Cape Lounge is unique in the sense that anyone can go into it. If you have a certain credit card or if you want to pay for the daily rate, you can use it and it's not tied to any airline. The company that manages the lounge on our behalf has told us that it has tremendously exceeded their expectations. They have a waiting list on some days. There are capacity on most days. So it's doing very, very well. And I'm sure they'll come knocking on our doors soon to say, hey, can you help us get another lounge somewhere? It is a joint effort between American Express and Centurion Lounges. And the company is called Cabo. It's based in England. It's actually beautiful inside. And if you fly from FLL from Terminals 3 or 4, JetBlue, Spirit, or American, you can see if you can get a day pass, or if you have that credit card, you can get in with that certain American Express credit card. Again, super popular and a beautiful venue at our airport. Next to it is Baby Oasis. So I want to give a special shout out to the purchasing team in this one. Back in 2017, we were beginning to hear that moms wanted a special amenity at airports, and it was a place to pump or feed their babies. And we truly did not have the space to be able to build lactation pods. So what we did is we purchased these, and the purchasing team helped me. And it took a little of effort, as most of our procurements do, but this one was a special for me. And we branded the lactation pods and called them Baby Oasis. I remember we had a nice opening, and actually the purchasing team person who helped me purchase all 6 of them was present to unveil the Baby Oasis at our airport. It remains one of our top amenities, as well as the pet relief areas, which you see on the right-hand side of the screen at the top. There are a lot of passengers with pets, traveling with their pets. So what did the airport do? Back maybe 5 years ago, the outside pet relief areas were enough. And when you come out of the sterile area on the airport, the secure side, you can go into our beautiful, beautiful grassy pet relief areas that have a fence, and we have, little things for a nice space for the pets to be. But some of the animals that are traveling with their owners really need to go right away. So we have pet service, what we call service animal relief areas in the post-security environment at the airport, which is where you are as soon as you get off the plane, you're still in the secure area. So if your little dog needs to go, then you can take it to the service animal relief area. And we have actually 6 of those throughout all 4 terminals. Again, we're talking about Terminal 4, the new FIS baggage claim area. We also have biometrics, a major effort with the U.S. Customs and Border Protection, CBP. It is a federal government sort of request at this point from most airports to come up in terms of the modernization and efficiency of making sure that we have information from passengers, to make it also a seamless experience for passengers as they come in and leave the USA. So you might see some of these at airports around the USA, and certainly FLL has them in our terminals. Let's see, left-hand side of the screen bottom, you have the interactive play area. That is the public art project, actually. We try not to call it a playground, because supposedly we're not supposed to, but that is what it is, and it's also a public art. We actually, the artist that we selected for that is an architect by trade, but he decided to have a sort of a walk in the clouds atmosphere I know that parents love it and kids love it, and it really does give me great pleasure when I walk in Concourse A and see the little kids running around and playing there. Roadway signalization right next to it, in the middle column, we have very, very animated drivers that will drive through the lines that are painted in red and white in the, if you will, when you go between one terminal and another, or you're actually trying to exit a terminal. So we did a safety and security really project that is, we establish signalization at certain points in the roadways on the baggage claim lower level area. And it seems to be working pretty well. And so we're happy to have seen that. We also have the last slide here, or on the right-hand side, we have an app. Most airports are now coming out with apps, and that's just one of the many options that we want to give our guests to be able to say, okay, where am I in the airport? If I want to reserve a parking spot, if I want to find out what's available to eat in Terminal 1, then that's where I go. And Bob, I'm not sure who went, or which part of Terminal 1 they went, but we have Rocco's Tacos in Terminal 1. We have Sergio's. We have Dale Earnhardt's Whiskey River restaurant on one side, Margaritaville. So hopefully we can talk to that Maryland team and let them know that we have a few offerings in Terminal 1.
No, I'm definitely I'm gonna take that message back to them. So thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah. So on both sides, actually, the brand new restaurants and again, local flavor, Rocco's Tacos, Whiskey River, Sergio's is grab and go, and Margaritaville is very, very popular. So we're trying to meet everybody's desire to have something at the airport that is maybe a sit-down dinner with beverages, or just a quick grab and go.
No, thank you.
You're welcome. So how do we keep getting better? The Terminal 5, it's the construction of it, which is under construction. We had our groundbreaking last October. This is the first initial phase, if you will, of the master plan. We needed to have this. This will be adding 5 gates. So when all is said and done, we will end up with 71 gates at the airport, adding 5 to the current 66. We are very, very much looking forward to this new terminal. It will be 5 domestic gates. And so hopefully we'll relieve and open up other gates in other parts of the airport for international flights. We are also working on terminal connectors. Christine Shorey, a shout out to you, and thank you for your support on that. It has not been the easiest procurement, I think. However, I always try to keep my focus on the end result. When this is done, it will be a game changer for our airport. And why is that? Because when you are able to connect all the terminals post-security, then someone who suddenly has a delayed flight in Terminal 1 and doesn't want any of the restaurants in Terminal 1, then can go maybe have a sit-down dinner in Terminal 3 at Golden Bear, which is a famous golfer's restaurant, and his name escapes me right now. Or they can go to a sit-down Cuban restaurant, Casavana, in Terminal 4. So, or there's also a tequila bar in Terminal 4. So whatever it is that you want to do, you can do it post-security. And so when that is all said and done, it's going to be very important for the airport. And thank you in advance to the purchasing team for all the support in getting that bid. And not only the bid, but getting us to the finish line, hopefully soon on the award. So master plan update. In a nutshell, a few things. Our master plan video is actually available on our website. The impetus for this is that every 20 years, all airports do this. It's like, what is our traffic forecast? How do we need to expand more? Do we need more gates? Do we need another runway, et cetera, et cetera? So our next master plan is actually telling us that we can end up at a total of 95 gates at the airport, which I know to some of you that may seem unthinkable, but it could be possible. It will take a while to get to that point. There are a few steps. As I mentioned, we started with Terminal 5. We are going to also have a project to improve our roadways. We have we have a lot of gridlock on our roadways during peak times at our airport because our roadways were designed for 1980s rather, not where we are today in 2024. So one of the next phase projects, if you will, is the Intermodal Center. It will be a transportation hub, very, very, very cool project. We are right now in the environmental phase with the federal government. That might take 12 months, maybe more. We're hoping that it'll be 12 months so we can start figuring out the design, etc. We're in the project definition document stage right now, but the IMC will be also a major project as part of the master plan. Another one is the automated people mover. Our airport director likes to say that we are the only airport amongst the 4 large hubs which does not have an automated people mover. Everybody else does. Orlando, Tampa, Miami. So we're going to get on with the program, hopefully very soon. We're also in the environmental phase review of that project. But once all is said and done, and we're looking at 2030, that timeframe might change. It will be a very, very different FLL, but I'm looking forward to seeing that. Way at the end, we're looking at a commercial center, a new garage, all kinds of different things, hopefully a hotel. A very, very, very unique concept, if you will, for us, and also adding more parking spaces. We're currently at about 12,000 parking spaces through our 3 garages, but we are looking at the fact that we need more based on the consumers' actions post-pandemic. So we really want to make sure that we can meet our guests' needs in terms of parking spaces. And last but not least, at the end, the automated people mover will be connecting to Port Everglades and to the Convention Center Hotel. Again, another big-time game changer to have our guests get off a cruise ship, get on the people mover, and get to the airport, or vice versa. Something that would be definitely that I'm looking forward to seeing. And last but not least, here's HWO by the numbers. And there's a beautiful picture there of the air traffic control tower. The North Perry Airport, or HWO as we call it, is considered the busiest general aviation airport in Florida. Again, those are airports, general GA, what we call GA, general aviation, are not certificated by the FAA to have commercial flights. So it's mostly a personal plane or a flight school, etc. But because of South Florida being a hub for aviation, the number of operations is quite large. And so we had in calendar year 2022, as you can see, 263,209. If you remember, FLL had about 280,000. So it is considered, again, one of the busiest, and is the 4th busiest airport overall in Florida. The FAA contracts out the tower for these general aviation airports. So they go out to the vendor and say, here, you go and manage this tower for us. It's considered the busiest FAA contract tower in the US. It also has an economic impact to the region of $285 million and about 2,000 jobs. So pretty important. The airport manager at HWO always says that we forget about HWO, but I didn't want to forget today and not mention it, because it is a small player in a big pond, if you will, in the sense of compared to the commercial airports, and FLL is smaller, but it does play a big important role in relieving general aviation activity from FLL.
All right, I wanted to interject here. Oh, great. So it looks like Celina's pretty much at the end of her presentation. As the session is being recorded, we are at about a minute over our time, but we will continue to stay on and answer any questions that you guys may have. If you have to fall off, not to worry. we have this session recorded. Just wanted to interject there, and then I'll turn back over to Celina. So Celina, was there anything else that you wanted to mention, or you want to get into the questions?
Sure, let's go to the questions if you would like. And I want to make sure that I'm showing you, let's see. I'm going back to my Teams and I'm stopping sharing.
Okay, great.
I want to thank you all because it's actually quite unusual for me to talk to a computer. So I'm like, okay, well, let's do the best that we can while talking to a screen and hoping that everything is being transmitted the way it should be. I thank you again for your interest in our BCAT, and if there are any questions, I'll be happy to entertain them now.
Okay, so the first question I have, well, Bob submitted a few of them, so I'm just going to walk through these one by one, okay? The first question is, how does FedEx, UPS, DHL factor into the equation or percentage of the overall pie, that pie chart that you had, and how do they fit into future plans, if at all?
So our airport has very little land. We're landlocked. FLL is landlocked and completely surrounded on its perimeter by roadways. So the only way that we can move is up, and we truly don't have the land space for cargo as much as we would like for it. Everybody asks us, and those are all cargo players, right? In our community, and in comparison to an MIA, say, which cargo is huge, we simply have not been able to develop it more because of the lack of facility space, really, to be able to accommodate it. I would say that they're in the very small percentages on the pie, and I'm going back to that part that it's the 5%. So as you can see, it's a very small, benign number of what you would think is our operations. And for future growth, unfortunately, we don't have the space to be able to accommodate huge cargo operations.
The next question was about, are there any plans for expansion to or from European destinations? And I think you mentioned this a little bit earlier in the presentation.
Yes, definitely. Yes, yes, and yes. Being able to connect to go to Europe, having transatlantic service and having that option for our guests in South Florida, it's definitely something that we continue to pursue every day.
What else can the purchasing division do or do better to help FLL?
So I want to say that we're doing the best that we can, as you know, and I want to say a big thank you. On a bi-weekly basis, I facilitate a call for aviation department employees from different divisions and the purchasing managers. I've had great support from Connie, Christine, and I don't want to, if I start mentioning names, I'm going to forget somebody. So I don't want to forget anyone. The purchasing team has been great, really awesome. And what I share with our BCAT team is, remember that we are an economic engine. We have everybody saying, and by that I mean the airline saying, we need this yesterday. We need those passenger board, the bridges that when you get off the airplane, you go through that bridge and you get to the terminal. Well, those are very important. We had a major procurement on that. It was not the easiest one. So Christine actually did the heavy lifting on that. And I'm sure she remembers how challenging it was, but we got it done. So I tried to emphasize to our BCAT team to always remember that we are one of many agencies competing for the priorities and the attention. And so we try to, when we have the biweekly dialogue, to go over the top priorities and make sure that we really focus on, and the purchasing team has been very helpful and extremely supportive in ensuring that those top priorities sometimes get reshuffled, get at the top of the list. Sometimes, there are things that happen and nothing, as you know, nothing stays the same. But I do want to give a big shout out to all of those purchasing managers who participate in the biweekly calls, because those are helpful. If something is stuck somewhere, then they all know that my aim is to keep things moving. And that's what we do, and that's the purpose of those biweekly calls. So with that already, that's a big help.
Okay. And the last question I'm seeing, which terminal is the Baby Oasis located in? And are there plans to create more? I think this service is amazing.
So we have, it is, I'm very proud of that. It was my baby project, if you will. The idea is to have at least one in each terminal. We have 6 altogether. We have 2 in Terminal 1, 1 in Terminal 2, 1 in Terminal 3, and then 2 in Terminal 4. And again, the Terminal Connectors project then will enable any mom to go from anywhere from Terminal 1 through 4 and use any of the 6 lactation pods, the Baby Oasis. So they're strategically located actually based on usage and employments. And the company that makes the pods is a woman-owned company based in Vermont, and they're great about sending us feedback from our guests. Sometimes, you know, we the light is out and then somebody tells us, or, you know, they say this is the best thing ever, or whatever. It is a good partnership that we enabled to, that the procurement enabled us to have with a company that makes the baby pods, which the company is called Mamava.
Okay. And the last comment I have here is Christine is saying thank you to you and your department for offering to host a site visit in March for some of the purchasing staff to get a hands-on view of FLL.
Yeah, I think that there's nothing better than when you talk about something in you seeing it visually is much better than when you talk in abstract terms. So yes, Christine reached out and said, can we do a tour? And yes, we're gearing up to have that tour on March 29th, and I'm looking forward to it.
All right. Well, thank you so much to Celina for giving today's overview of all about FL, all about BCAT, and what you guys do. We're really grateful for that information. And thank you guys as well for spending your lunch with us. As I said, today's session has been recorded for future viewing. So after this session, I will go ahead and send out the video and a copy of the presentation. If Celina is able to go ahead and share that with us, that would be great. Thank you to everyone, and have a good lunch. Enjoy.
Bye.
Bye-bye.